right, so thank you for that welcome. My name is Victor, and I'm the CEO of Revibe Energy. We turn vibrations into electricity. And the beauty of our technology is that we can power low-current applications such as sensor systems and be used across industries, ranging from mining to manufacturing to wind power plants. The red circled parts show where sensor systems are used today to monitor things like temperature and pressure in equipment that are sensitive for these conditions in order to prevent expensive and unpredicted breakdowns. A sensor system consists of three parts, basically. The data collection unit, which is the actual sensor that gathers the information, the signal transmission, and the power source. The signal transmission and data collection are working perfectly today with cutting-edge technology. The power sources, however, are not of the same standard. Cables and batteries that are being used today are expensive and unreliable for the user, and they need to be replaced. And this is where we come in. When our technology is being subjected to vibration, the cantilever inside the product moves within a magnetic field, and electricity is created. For each power source that we sell, we replace up to 10 batteries, resulting in 2020, we will have replaced 5 million batteries. This solution is protected through approved patents in the UK, US, Germany, and Sweden that Revibe Energy owns. We provide our customers with three key value propositions. Firstly, electricity to power your sensor systems simply by vibrations. Secondly, elimination of the need for cables and batteries and the possibility to monitor in previously unreachable places. And thirdly, but not lastly, up to 10 years longer lifetime compared to a standard battery, which saves the end users money and resources. We are mobile, we have a lifetime longer than 10 years, and we have a positive environmental impact compared to our competitors. But the biggest difference is our competitive strength in pricing. We are targeting the market of industrial sensor system, as the possibility for vibrations to exist within this field is high. The market is predicted to be worth 3 billion euros in 2017 and have a CAGR of 15.9%. Major players within this industry are Honeywell and Natural Instruments, and we are already in discussions with Natural Instruments, which will be an ideal client for us a few years down the road. The potential of the initial and the long-term market of Revibe Energy is determined by how vibrations behave, and this is something that is measured through a combination of two technical aspects: the frequency of the vibration and the strength of the vibration. These two create a range of the market area, and we cover 90% of that range today. But the big market that we want to address lies in 2017, when we will be ready with our technical development. Our business model is based on us being the subcontractor to a system supplier. We supply them with our power source, and they supply the end customer with the entire sensor system. For the initial 2 years, we will focus on smaller equipment manufacturers to gain customer references, experience, and credibility. And this results in a projected turnover of 0.25 million euros in 2015 and a rise to 0.5 million euros in 2016. In 2017, when we got the last 10% of our technical development taken care of, we'll shift focus to larger customers, larger volumes, and a projected turnover of 5 million euros. On board, we have a strong team that combines enthusiasm with experience, and one of our key individuals is our CTO, Per. He is also the original inventor of the technology and a core player in our team. In Q1 2015, we'll be closing our Series A round of 400,000 euros that combined with sales will take us into 2017 and large volume sales. The 40,000 euros coming from Climate Kick would be a very welcome contribution for us to close this round. And the money invested in us will do three things. First, technical development to reach the marketplace within 4 months. Secondly, establish production relationships in Taiwan to lower production costs at high volumes. And thirdly, scale up sales activities to penetrate the markets quicker. So by this, I would like to invite you to invest in Revibe Energy and invest in a cleaner future. Thank you. So that's one of our products. You can have a look.
Questions from the jury? And it's always good to bring your gadget, by the way.
May I start? Well, can you explain us a little how the system works? What you do with the electricity you produce? Where it goes?
The technical explanation?
Yeah.
You place it on basically any environment, a machine, for example, that vibrates. And the cantilever that you saw in the picture.
Excuse me, mechanically I know how it works, but I would like to know what you do with the electricity you produce with the machine.
Well,
where it goes. Where it goes. Where it goes, the electricity you produce with this machine, where it goes. It has a wire and goes where, or how it works?
It goes, you produce electricity, it goes into a sensor that we power.
Okay.
And you place this entire package on a machine, for example, that could monitor the temperature, which can be an indication of when the machine in question will fail. And then you can have predictive maintenance to make sure that the process doesn't break down.
Okay.
Okay, how many machines would you need in order to have a decent return on investment? So I guess each one is 500 euros?
Yeah, for the small volume sales.
So give us a practical example. You put how many on what machine, and then in how many years do you get an ROI of the energy you get out of it?
We will reach break-even in 2017, and we base that on distributing about 10,000 products.
For the client? What's the return on investment for the client, for your customers?
For the client, based on, depending on the solution, of course, how much the sensor costs, but a typical user case is less than 200 days.
I have a question on protection. If I invest in your company,
Yeah.
how do I know that it is not being copied in China?
It's a hard one. We have a patent that was applied and approved by Saab, the defense company in Sweden, which is also a part owner of our company. But basically it's speed to market, because one of the big ones want to do this, they could probably come up with some similar technology. So what we need is capital to accelerate and reach the marketplace first, so we can claim our stake.
So speed is your defense.
Yeah, speed to market.
In terms of the redundancy of a signal, if this is on a vibrating piece of machinery,
Yeah.
but that machinery is then broken down, can you still get a signal from it?
We cannot produce more energy, but what we will do is install a supercapacitor rechargeable battery that stores the surplus energy for an amount of time. So if it breaks down, you can still have the signal for as long as you need to get out to repair the machine.
So there is still some need for battery technology.
A supercapacitor is some small kind of device that just stores it.
Thank you.
What is in one line the unique thing that your CTO has?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
What is one unique thing that your CTO has put in the patent? What is unique in his thought?
The unique that is patented is the spring system that we use to create resonance behavior. Previously, you only had a spring, but we have end feathers to make sure that the resonance continues. So we have a continuous movement within the product. That's the unique part about it.
You said you were about to ask for 400,000 euros in the next series. What percentage you give for that? I mean, what's the value of your company right now?
In 2017, we predict to take in an expansion round, and our valuation right now is around 1 million euros, 1.1, and we hope to be valued at 3 to 4 million euros in 2017.
And how much of the 1.1 is cash invested?
Sorry.
How much of the 1.1 million valuation is cash?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. It sounded bad.
How much of the 1.1 million is cash?
Today, everything is cash.
Okay.
So zero goodwill. Thank you.
Final question? Done? Done. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you imagine that 90% of all citizens are breathing polluted air every day? Can you imagine that every 7th death today is due to air pollution? Hi, my name is Liang, co-founder of Green City Solutions, and we make clean and cool air profitable. So the danger about air pollution is its main component, fine dust. It's mostly invisible to our eyes, but for every 10 microgram in 1 cubic meter of air, our lifespan is shortened by half a year. And that's why my family's life expectancy in Beijing has decreased by 15 years in the last 5 years. And you might think this problem only exists in Asia, but even European cities like London and Paris fail to comply with the legislations set by the EU. So our solution to this huge problem is based on an awesome system that has worked for billions of years. And we use technology to make it even better. Plants. Plants naturally attract fine dust and bind it on the leaf surface. And to boost that effect, we use a patent-pending combination of special plants and moss, because moss has millions of tiny leaves and provides a leaf surface 4 times larger per square meter than even a tree. And because we install all of it vertically, we can raise the efficiency by another 28%. To provide the perfect growing environment for this unique combination, we have developed a connected, automated irrigation and monitoring system called Auxin. And because we wrap all of it into a good design, we call this a city tree. The city tree is a patent-pending vertical plant screen which can bind CO2, filter nitrous oxide and fine dust, and provide cool air, clean air. With an integrated PV panel and rainwater collection system, it minimizes the need for maintenance and resources and is almost self-sufficient. As a step-by-step solution for cities, we can not only mitigate air pollution, but at the same time, two consequences of climate change. One are flood events, because air pollution directly affects extreme weather events. And the other one are heat islands, because the natural water evaporation on the leaf surface provides cool air to the surroundings and acts as an adaptation service. In interviews with potential customers, they came up with the idea to team up with a sponsor to finance the city tree and display it with logos or writings. Now we took it a step further and can even display a QR code, implement Apple's iBeacon or Google Glasses, and provide a digital connection and the opportunity for mobile commerce. Now this idea sounded so convincing to Madeleine Betzgen, a senior brand manager of Coca-Cola in Germany, that she told us that this kind of sustainable communication for companies is a must-have. And that's why we not only sell to cities, but to companies as well. Mitigating air pollution in the middle of a city while displaying advertisement, the city tree can address the out-of-home ad market and the market for air cleaning measures. And we are talking about a combined market size of over 8 billion euros in Europe alone. And an even bigger potential for us is Asia, with cities like Beijing who are spending 96 billion euros just for pollution abatement. Now our business model relies on direct sales with a gross margin of 65%. And with after-sales services such as plant maintenance, we can generate a steady revenue and create local jobs. In over 50 customer conversations, the city tree has proven to be the more economic mitigation measure and the more sustainable communication tool than those provided by our competitors. The City of London, for instance, was convinced by our movable, space-saving construction and by our cost efficiency. And further convincing facts are our first working prototypes, which we developed with our own money. In 2014, we have secured a bank loan of 110,000 euros, several grants worth over 150,000 euros, and our market entry by the end of the year. With first customers, like the Saxon State Chamber, and Consum, a German supermarket chain, we project our break-even for 2015. And our strength relies on three things. First, a friendship which has lasted over 15 years. Second, the experience we've gathered working on the project for almost 2 years. And third, our diversity in our team. First, there's Peter, our plant specialist. He has worked for horticulture companies for almost 12 years and conducted plant research at university for 5 years. I have studied business administration and computer science. That's why I'm the numbers guy. Victor, our engineer, has worked for one of the world's largest companies for agricultural machinery. And Dennis has studied architecture and urban design and worked for Renzo Piano on the development of the Shard in London. He takes care of our project development. Now, for your next trip to Valencia, we would like to bring clean air back to the city center. And with 132 city trees, we could then save you 19 months of your life. We are Green City Solutions. Thank you very much.
That was on the second, right? We were all like, we can finally clap, but no. Well done.
So for the
Co-founder
Q&A,
on stage, yeah?
that's my co-founder, Dennis. Hi.
Hi, I wanted to ask a bit about the lifespan of the actual product and the maintenance. You showed a figure there, but you kind of passed it very fast. What is the maintenance for each unit, and what is the lifespan until you need to replace the plant, or if you have to? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So the construction itself has a really long lifespan expectancy because, well, it's a construction and it can last there like 25, 30 years. And the plants, of course, you have to change. So we have plants for the summertime who are really good in cleaning up the air. And you have frost-resistant plants for the wintertime. But nevertheless, the climate effect is already there because it's not the plants itself, really. It's the substrate, the moss, who's providing all this climate. So you have to change it. And like we have shown, there's a 2,000 euros maintenance cost per year, what cost us approximately about something between 800 and 1,000 euros a year.
Okay.
Just to follow up on that, sorry, Paul, will that be paid by the advertisers? Is that your plan on
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
My question is on the client. Who is your client?
Who's our client? The first
With whom do you sign a contract?
Who's the contractor? Yes, yeah, of course. So first of all, we thought about that the cities should be the clients because mostly they have the problems, so the people have the problems. But then we figured out in speeches with a lot of potential company clients that they are really interested in this kind of vertical,
So
green,
who's the client?
sustainable
not who's not, but who's the
communication.
customer?
Okay.
Who's paying?
Who's paying?
Who's paying?
Who signs?
The company is paying for the advertising, or the city is paying, like the city of London is going to pay with our first urban pilot.
So your company signs a contract with the City of London?
Yes. So we're
Your
going
company
to,
also signs with an advertising firm?
we are thinking about to address also the advertising firms. So we are in speeches already with Valdeco in Germany, and J-Citycore, I'm sorry, and Val in Germany. So they are already really interested, but this is not our main focus at the moment.
Second question, who do you think is your first copier? Who's going to do the same as you do in another city?
I'm sorry, I did not. I'm sorry.
Who can copy you? Competitors that can do the same trick?
Well, I think finally it's difficult to copy us because the main knowledge is not in the physical product, but in the algorithm and in the automated irrigation system and in all this sensor stuff inside, who takes care that the maintenance costs are really low. But because if this is not the fact, you won't see this thing expanding.
So it's a patent pending construction. So we have a patent on the construction and on the special combination of moss and plants. So to copy us, you would have to acquire the knowledge about the plants and the moss first.
Okay.
Okay, so if I steal the product and I let an engineer back engineer it, you're still protected?
It's really hard to understand. It's really hard to understand, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the question is, so
Yeah.
someone gets your product,
Yeah,
backward engineers it,
yeah.
and brings it to the market. You are still protected?
Yeah, we are still protected because of the plants, because they can copy the plants, but they can't copy the knowledge about the plants we possess. So we have a key player who is Peter, and he has worked for horticulture companies for 12 years and conducted the plant research.
Okay.
What research have you done to validate the claims of the benefit of the product?
Well, most of the research is based on computer simulations, right? And then actual tests is going to happen with the master thesis of one of our collaborators. And that's going to be the first scientific research proving the effect of our wall. But the computer simulations we have done so far have
Really
proved-
good.
yeah,
Okay,
have
that
proved-
was Green City Solutions. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Microphone there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me here. My name is Jan-Willem Heijnen and I'm from the Dutch startup VeriCity. And VeriCity builds the IT that enables commercial electric vehicles to drive 25% further. And with commercial electric vehicles, we mean electric buses and electric trucks. Now, to explain you how we do this, I'd like you to meet Tom. Tom is transport operator and manager of a fleet of buses. Now, Tom has two important responsibilities. Tom needs to drive his vehicles on time in a fixed schedule, and Tom needs to drive his vehicles at 100% reliability. Now, Tom is also a very cool guy because he's very green. Tom would love to have a fleet of electric buses. But he has a problem there, because due to outside temperature, driver behavior, vehicle routing, traffic congestion, vehicle load, the drivable range of an electric bus changes every day. And so on a good day, Tom can drive 300 kilometers with its electric bus. On a bad day, he can only drive 200. Now back to Tom and his responsibilities. Tom needs to be 100% reliable. So what does he typically do when planning an electric bus? Typically, he will plan his electric bus for only 200 kilometers to make sure that it works every day. Now, of course, we disagree with this, because if you're not using your vehicles 100%, you're wasting money. So we've built a system. We've built a system that continuously monitors Tom's electric buses, and specifically on battery state and energy consumption. And we send that data to the cloud. Online, we also know the planning of the vehicle. So we already know if Tom has enough energy to drive all day or not. And if not, we dynamically change vehicle behavior. We lower vehicle energy consumption so much that Tom can drive exactly how far he would like to drive. And the result is that Tom can plan far more ambitiously. Tom can plan for 250 kilometers every day. And we make sure that his vehicles are 100% reliable. In essence, we take the responsibility for reliability out of Tom's hands, out of his driver's hands, and we place it into the cloud, where we can be much more precise. And if really needed, we change vehicle energy consumption from there. Now, how do we sell this? We're a small startup, we don't have global marketing reach yet, so we choose to sell our systems to vehicle producers who sell their vehicles worldwide to transport operators such as Tom. And so Tom can purchase our systems even if he's far away from Amsterdam. We started out with a team of 4 IT engineers, but we're also very much automotive focused. And on top of that, we have a German on board to attack the German automotive and international market. We started a little over 2 years ago. Since then, we've got our launching customer in. We went international, including Germany. We landed the largest electric bus project in the EU, and we're now entering the US market. And talking about market, there are 250,000 buses in the US and the EU, and there are 1 million distribution trucks. Even if we have a very low market share, our revenue potential is 125 million every year. But we're not there yet. We need to grow our product even further, and we've picked the EU and the US market to do so. And from 2016 onward, we'd like to enter the global market. And it is our goal to be the global #1 in IT systems for commercial electric vehicles by 2020. We are looking forward to cleaner cities and cheaper electric transport. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you. I'd like to invite you to join us for cleaner cities and an electric future today. Thank you very much.
Questions? Can you, my request is that you pull the microphone closer to you because your hearts are here, so put it really close.
How about it? Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, sure.
Well, you say you somehow control the vehicle, right? Or how do you do it? I mean, you are taking signals from the vehicle and then you give your feedback after your algorithm. But do you send it directly to the bus driver, to Tom, or directly to the bus?
Yeah, perfect question. The best explanation is this slide, actually. So we do a number of things. The first we do is a priori range prediction. So if Tom is planning his, say, electric bus of that type for that routing on that, say, 11th of December, we already predict the range. So we say, Tom, drive 250 kilometers today. That's the first thing. But always during operations, things can go wrong. So we've built a platform that can get data out of a vehicle and send data back to the vehicle. And so we can steer modes of the vehicle. And one of the most important things we can do is change the heating system of an electric bus.
Yeah. My concern is, are you changing the conditions of the vehicle? And the driver knows it, or?
Yeah. Well, it's actually, we take a number of steps before we are annoying the driver. So we would like to minimize the workload of the driver, but when it's really necessary, we also inform the driver.
So if he tries to accelerate because there is a problem in the road that you don't know because you're not monitoring it,
that's actually the second measurement.
Okay, will he find a problem doing that, or I mean, maybe he won't be able because you send a signal to the vehicle that.
Yeah. First of all, you should not change vehicle behavior or acceleration behavior when a driver is behind schedule. But brisk driving behavior causes 15% range decrease. So we have to do something with it. And what we do with it, we change acceleration in higher speed classes. So brisk driving is usually when you drive already at a fast speed and you're still pushing the accelerator fully. Okay. And there we change acceleration just a little bit. It's very subtle.
You got it.
Yeah.
In the business plan, revenues are important. The benefit, the money benefit for your customer is key. What is your customer paying today without VeriCity? And what is the benefit with VeriCity?
What is he paying today is he's paying for a vehicle that is 500,000 euros and he's only using it for, say, 75%. And we increase that to 100%. So it's really the extra range that you get out of the same vehicle. That's the money we save the operator.
Can you put a number on that?
Yes, well, if you have a fleet of vehicles that cost 500,000 vehicles...
Can you just give me the number? Just give me the number.
Per vehicle, yeah. we'd save you about 100,000 euros a year if you plan really right. Okay. And this is, it's also in risk...
Thank you. Second question is the price that you then ask your customer to pay. If you bring them a benefit of 100,000, which you just said, what is the price that you ask your customer to pay?
We ask for 3,000 euros every year because it's in risk avoidance. That's what we see.
What are your gross margins?
Gross margins, if we sell a product of 3,000 euros, our cost is about 300 every year. So that's what we see. If we have a recurring revenue, we need to support our cloud, etc., etc. So that's where we are.
Have you received any feedback from the actual bus drivers, not Tom? And what is it?
We are working on that project. Actually, we are releasing that project in February with RWTH Aachen and the city of Münster. We're still progressing on this one, and we are actually in that project informing the driver and relating him to what we are doing. So we are working very hard on that.
With respect to access to vehicle systems, a lot of vehicle systems and major OEMs have proprietary systems. How do you get access to actually control those?
That's a very good question. We've been working very hard on this one. Actually, what we see, the US is much more proprietary than the EU. The EU is much more proprietary than the US. US is not an issue. You can just connect to a CAN bus and you're there. In the EU, you have to talk to OEMs for a long time. And this is what we've been doing. And it's been successful. We've been in their data systems.
Question?
Right. Okay, last question. We can do a last question.
You're setting up your company. You want to be bought or you want to bring it to the market. Who's buying your company? Who do you think is buying your company?
Well, we've gotten a good indication already because there are big companies like Init who are already in the transport operator branch. And they're actually asking if they can purchase a part of us right now. So.
What valuation?
We are currently valued at 3.5 million. That's what we're now at.
And what are they offering you?
They would like to have 10%.
Thank you very much. Doing great job.
My name is Rainer. I'm co-founder of Nordic Power Converters. Look at all of these products, if it works.
It does not.
Can we,
You probably clicked. Yeah, you clicked. Don't click. Yeah, do it again. Yeah.
Okay, can we restart?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We set you in 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll start with looking at the products. What do they have in common? They all use electric power converters. 2.5 billion computers, tablets, phones each year require a charger. 1.3 billion LED units each year has a power converter inside. By 2020, the number will be 9 billion. We will address this $20 billion market first with better LED drivers and then smaller chargers. The technology behind power converters has not changed significantly for more than 30 years. We're one of only 2 breakthroughs with very high frequency switching of resonant power converters and have 7 patents pending. We created a power converter that is 1/5 the size. It cut production costs in half from an average of $2 to just $1, while increasing lifespan 5 times.
Fairchild, a legend component supplier from Silicon Valley, see our technology as a possible game changer with a tremendous potential. The LED market is where we're focusing first. A typical power converter takes up most of the space inside an LED product. Our will fit into the socket. Further, we'll cut the cost of the total LED product with 10%. And best, we solve the main issue with LED lighting, which is reliability. Currently, more than 50% of LED products fail because of the power converter inside. The lifespan of our converter will exceed that of the LED itself. The second market we're addressing is chargers for devices. Think of your laptop, it's gotten smaller, but your charger is still bulky. Our technology allows 5 times smaller chargers. Most chargers have energy efficiencies below 80%. When we increase that to 90%, the world will save electricity corresponding to 1/3 of the Spanish consumption. Lighting requires even more energy. Our technology solves some of the main problem with the LED lighting, which has the potential to save half the European electricity consumption. Our market position is based on a combination of IP protection and know-how. While we develop the technology, we do not intend to set up production. We'll rather offer licenses to partners who should be leaders in the industries and with high-volume products. For the 50% cost reduction, 80% size reduction, and increased lifespan, we will charge royalties. The LED market, where we focus first. Here, the brands produce the power converters directly inside the LED products or buy them from white label manufacturers. Either way, they get their parts from component suppliers. We will license directly to the top of the value chain the LED brands that also integrate the power converters inside the LED products. The next focus is chargers. The charger manufacturers, the device brands don't produce any chargers. They buy the chargers from white label manufacturers that again get the parts from component makers. So we will partner with the component makers for this market. The other company with a similar technology is a spin-out from MIT, Phynsics. They focus on chargers, and in contrast to us, will facilitate production to sell directly to end users and the brands. With a license model, we can benefit from the market channels of our partners. We've been in dialogue with highly interested customers for more than 2 years, including a top 3 LED player where we just weeks from signing the second development agreement, and a global component supplier with whom we discussed a multi-million-dollar project. My partner, Miki, made the technology breakthrough already during his master's and has continued to lead innovation during his PhD. I joined to add experience with startups, financing, and business development. Together with our tech experts, we address this phase challenges and are ready to grow. We've been financed for 2.5 years at the Technical University of Denmark. Now, following this second development agreement with a top LED player, we're looking to raise $2 million. That will bring us to the first license agreement end of 2015, products on the LED market in 2016, and chargers in 2017. The investment will enable us to address multiple partners and to retain IP during collaboration projects. Our cost structure is driven by development, where we seek at least partial financing from our partners. Revenue will come from royalties, and we will be cash positive in 2018. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. This is a traditional product you see seen on screen, and this is our new one. Yeah, the new technology.
Okay, I'll start with the
Nice.
question then.
First question?
Yes.
Go ahead, Paris.
The MIT competitor, Phynsics.
Yes.
What's different in their technology? Why are you better than them? And why won't they be bought up by Fairchild before you?
Well, technically, they're before us. Technically, they take a different route to the same aim, very high frequency, so it can be smaller. Commercially, they do it differently. Well, they're ahead, but we're catching up very fast, and we'll take over within a couple of years.
Just on the IP issue then.
The IP issue, They have a different way to the aim, to the goal, so it's not, they can't patent the way to the moon, but they've got, it's like taking a motor for a vehicle. You can increase the RPM in different ways, but you can't patent increasing the RPM.
Yeah, gotcha.
Can you buy that company?
What?
Can you buy your competitor?
Can we buy our competitor? They raised $10 million from venture capital and have received
Go ahead.
received offers for them that they have rejected. So I don't think they're for sale right now.
Do you want to be bought by them and monopolize the market?
I think that there will be plenty of room for both them and us and even more players. So we are not looking to be bought by them or anyone else in the first couple of years.
Monopoly is always the best money earner.
Sorry, I did not...
Monopoly is always the best money earner. I would rethink that.
So monopoly is always the best money earner.
Right. That's right. But this is a market where there's already different players on. So maybe you can do it differently.
So there are more competitors.
There's more competitors. Yes, it's an existing, the solutions on the market already. We're just doing it much better and cheaper.
Okay. Howard.
I have two questions. Firstly, what's your target price for the unit once it's in volume manufacture? And can you give me a few lines about gearing of your supply chain?
Yeah. We do not intend to set up production, so we'll charge the royalties. So when we decrease the average price from $2 to $1, we'll take a cut on that savings and add the extra features. We're looking at royalties of between 3 and 10 cents per unit. So gearing up, we won't do that. We'll use our partners' existing setups where they produce the power converters already.
Marcus.
Well, as an electrical engineer, are you sure that the behavior of your charger is the same that the others you are willing to change, because you have, I think you have removed the toroids and you have put some other devices instead, right? So will it work the same? I mean, the user will make no difference for the user?
No, you're already carrying a charger for your laptop, right? This will just be 5 times smaller.
No, I mean in the charging time. I mean, will it take more time your solution than the standard charger?
It's the same charging time. That doesn't depend with the charger, but the battery. So it has nothing to do with the charger as such. That's just converting the electricity.
Okay. Well.
For your customer, what is the dollar benefit for your customer with and without?
They have, immense saving. If you take a LED product, if they can reduce their production cost on it with 10% from the LED product, that's, money in the pocket for them. And if they just give a bit of that back to us in royalties, it will still be a good business.
How big is that little bit? How big is that little bit? Out of the 10% advantage, you get how much?
So, the simple average from $2 to $1, they give us 10 cents back in royalties. So they have 90 cents for them. And of course, we would like to go higher, but that's the financial model we put in to be conservative.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Antoine Hubert, CEO of the company, one of the co-founders, and I will explain you in very short minutes why Insight could help us to sort one of the biggest challenges of the 21st century, sustainable food systems. First, what do? We are an industrial player, and we're producing raw materials, ingredients for the nutrition, health, and material industries. In particular, our first market is aquaculture. Aquafeed is $80 billion market, 15% growth, biggest market in the feed, and we are looking into then to pet food, human food, or nutrition and health markets. What are the ingredients we produce? Proteins, oils, and chitin. They are extracted from mild and green processes, zero chemicals, zero waste, very sustainable, high quality, high consistency, and of course it's patented. We have 5 patents on that, and aiming at about 10 patents in 2015. The insect we use in this unit, we produce them from another unit, insect production unit, which is the biggest disruptive technology we have, because today nobody is able to produce at industrial scale. Our technologies is very automated, robotized, and with very high productivity. For example, if I compare to my main competitor, we are about 3 in the world, their productivity is only 5 1,000 tons of proteins per hectare per year, we reach more than 80,000 tons of protein per hectare per year. And we control the health of our insect through embedded technology, connected objects. 5 patents are pending now, and about 15 in 2015 will be on. And at the beginning, insects are grown on food byproducts, cereal byproducts, fruit and vegetables uncalibrated. It's really a way to reduce the food waste. In a circular economy, again, it's a way to have more sustainable systems, and insect can valorize any kind of biomass, so we can settle anywhere in the world. This platform we have developed, this technological platform, we call it insect biorefineries, in reference to other biorefineries, plant biorefineries. Why do we do it? First, if I take the fish feed market, it's for naturality. If you go fishing, you're not going to use a soya bait to fish. You're gonna use a maggot bait. It's the same in the wild. In the fish farm, fish are fed through 70% of soya, rest of fish meal. In the wild, a trout, for example, is eating 70% maximum of insects. Second point where we do it is efficiency. 2050, 10 million people, more and more population, more and more consumption, because the middle class is growing, and middle class is asking more and more resources and more animal proteins, for example. It's one of the major points. And we have no infinite resources. Compared to energy, we have the sun coming out, infinite energies. Food, we have no infinite resources. So we have to find very efficient system, like insects. They grow in a few weeks. They are really rich in proteins. They grow on any kind of food waste. The team behind, 4 founders, 4 different skills. I'm the CEO, agro-engineer. Fabrice is here, is R&D director. Alexis, ESSEC Management School, CFO. Jean-Gabriel from Polytechnique, COO, and backed up now with 2 high-profile, 15 years experience, one in R&D, Nathalie, and one in commercial, Benjamin. We are 20 people now, transfer skill, international. We have 6 or 7 nationalities in the team now. We started 2013 at the lab with the major public labs in France and Netherlands, very small scale. Now we are in a pilot plant, few tons a year of insects. This has been ensured through the first fundraising we made. We obtained about 3 million since the beginning of the year, 1.8 with the Series A, with Emertech and Demeter, 2 of the major venture capital risk in France, in clean tech, plus public grants with DPI France. And we have been, our vision has been awarded through different contests like Cleantech Open or the best biotechnology in Europe in 2013 at EFIB. Now where we go for the first proof of concept at industrial scale, 1,000 tons. We have already customers buying the few kg we produce now, 100 kgs, and now we'll go to the few tons, 1,000 tons per year, and this will be a way to validate all the technologies, automated technologies, to go to the commercial plants, which is 30,000 tons per year, feed 10 million euro capex, 1.5 euro return of investment. 2055, we aim to 1 million tons of insect produced per year in the feed, but in the food and chemicals, 200 million euro turnover, and with a massive impact on the environment, 50 million tons per CO2 saved. So we are the insect company. Thank you very much.
Questions? Marcos?
We'd like to know what's the difference between your idea and others existing ideas in the market, because using the proteins from the insect is not a new thing. So what's the difference?
How are you better?
From other insects or other proteins, you mean?
Yeah, well, the use of insects for taking proteins from them is not a new thing. So
it's
new.
There are no proteins of insect on the market today, not at all. It's only scientific universities has done it for like 20, 30 years, but there are no products on the market, except one, our competitor in Canada is launching today something commercial in Canada. They are the first one. There are no products on the market because the technology didn't exist before. People were producing like 100 tons a year, but we need to reach more than 10,000 tons to be a player in the pet food, feed and food. And no technologies, our technology is really disruptive to reach these capacities. So we will be on the market, and we will be really maybe the first or the second.
So your difference is your own technology, you mean?
Technologies, okay. Indeed, technologies and properties of the final product.
Paul?
To whom do you sell Who is your client?
We are B2B, so we are producing raw ingredients for different people mixing our products, like the feed industry, aquaculture. They are the big player in the Nordic countries and in Asia also. They are producing
Those are geographies. To whom are you selling?
So who?
Those are geographies, but to whom are you selling? What do you sign a contract with? Whom do you sign a contract with?
I sell the products to the feed formulator companies. The feed formulator companies, they mix different raw materials to make a final pallet. So my industrial player, and I produce through my own technologies, through joint venture or patenting our technologies, licensing our patents, I mean.
And your client, your customer, without you, what does he pay? And with you, what does he pay?
Our customer today, they are buying like soya meal, fish meal, or others. And our product just will be cheaper than fish meal in the next few months, a few years.
And how much?
1.5 euros. Our price will be 1.5 euro a kilo. And today fish meal is 1.5, but it will reach 2 euros a kilo according to FAO and OCDE in the next 3 years. So it will be cheaper than that.
You mentioned the scale production plant. How much capital is going to be required to get to that?
How much capitals? Then the first commercial plant, we are aiming, it's a 10 million capex. I said 1.5 euro return on investment. The demo plant, it's less than 3 millions, but then it's only about the plants we will need or get money for R&D and stuff like that. But.
And how do you plan to get the money for that?
We made a Series A already. Today we are not in the process of fundraising, but we will go to a Series B soon. And probably in Series C afterwards, maybe IPO, I don't know. There are many possibilities in the biotech industries.
You spoke about robotically managing this factory, so can you explain a little bit more the use of the robots, and also how does that pertain to job creation?
Really, the technology today, people are breeding insects really through manual technologies, and our robots in the insect farmings, they ensure the way to bring like the feed, insect feed, the biomass, controlling the health very quickly, if there is dead or not, and putting out the batch. Mixing some stages together, so really a lot of operations, in like 500 operations in 1 hour for some robots, so it's a huge way to gain in productivity.
Did I understand correctly that your revenues are 200 million euros?
Our revenues, it's the fundraising, so we have 3 million fundraising.
No, revenues, turnover.
Revenues, very low. We have contracts with clients, but some are paying, some they give the result back, and we are aiming to 200 million euros revenues in 2025, and with a reach.
How many plants? How many plants?
How many plants?
To have 200 million revenues.
12 plants, but not our own only. So also I said joint venture or licensing of our technologies.
Last question?
Yeah, so 12 plants cost you 12 times 10 is 120 million. You have 200 revenues a year. So what is the payback for the plant?
The payback for the plants is, I said, is 1.5 euros for feed industries, but it's difficult.
No, the payback of the plant. If I invest in you?
I have 10 millions in 1.5 years, you are back.
No, the investment in your factory. So you build a factory?
Yeah.
And then how long does it take for the factory to pay itself back?
To pay itself back, I say 1.5 years.
Oh, years.
1.5 years.
We heard euros. Okay.
Yeah, no, years. Sorry,
right.
it's not my French accent.
Yeah,
sorry.
it's fine. We're used to that at Climate It's fine. Okay, that was the final question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Penny. I'm the CEO from Green Engineering. I started my day with a fabulous hot shower, but like most hotel guests, I stayed in the shower just a bit longer than I would do if I was at home. This gives the hotel industry a problem. 664 million litres of hot water is showered away every day in hotel rooms around the world. The hotels want the customers to be comfortable, but they would also like to reduce their costs. We've developed DrainMiser, a wastewater heat recovery system, to address this. We have vertical and horizontal passive units, and the active unit is quite remarkable. It turns an air-sourced heat pump into a true hybrid, allowing it to access thermal energy from both water and air. Oh, sorry. Typically, the cold water comes into a hotel at about 10 degrees, and it gets used in the hotels, not just for showers, but also in the kitchens and the laundries as well, going down the drain at 60 degrees plus. All of that energy is wasted. With the drain miser system in place, we can reduce that waste to zero, sending the drain water out at the same temperature or lower than it came into the building, allowing the hotel to access that energy and reduce their costs. 416 billion litres of water is heated in hotels every year. The cost of this is 20% of their average energy bill. We can reduce that to just 10%, and in the process, save over 1 million tonnes of CO2 a year, just in the hotel industry. We're focusing on the hotel industry because as our beachhead market, because they have a dual problem. They've set themselves aggressive CO2 reduction targets. They want to reduce their costs, but they need to keep their customers happy and comfortable. Most of the hotels already have air-source heat pumps or other heat pump systems in place, so it's pertinent to address this too. And we plan to do this by partnering with the heat pump manufacturers, licensing the technology to them, and then franchising the manufacture of the drain miser systems within the country of sale. This will generate local jobs within that country and generate brand awareness and brand loyalty within that country. The hotel market is remarkable because globally it's continued to grow throughout the recession and is forecast to be worth 700 billion euros by 2020. Similarly, the heat pump market is also growing remarkably well, particularly in China and Europe, where the air-sourced heat pumps are very popular. So tackling just the beachhead market and taking a 20% market share, our license fees from the hotel industry in 2020 will be worth 17.5 million euros. So it's a good business case. We're not the only player in the field, but we do have the most complete wastewater heat recovery system available. It's suitable for new build and retrofit, commercial and domestic properties, and it improves the performance of the heat pumps. We were founded in 2012. We had government funding R&D through 2013. This year, we did an important project for DEFRA, which allowed us to build our system prototypes. We are currently in talks with a major UK partner. In the next couple of years, we will have partners in the USA and in Asia with the heat pump manufacturers, with the goal of being the number one in 2020. We'd like introductions to the key players in the major hotel industry and the major heat pump manufacturers. We also need help with the cost of the licensing and the franchising. Our core team is Kenny, who's the inventor of the drain miser system. He's our CTO. He's over 10 years' experience in energy and clean tech. My background is in business and IT. I previously ran an international business unit generating over $6 million worth of revenue a year. Kenny and I have previously run an IT consultancy successfully together. Our extended team also includes specialists from industry and academia. That's Green Engineering. I look forward to your questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Penny.
Paris.
Thank you, Penny. There's tons of options out there to reduce costs for the hotel industry. What's the return on investment on your product?
Can you speak clearer?
What is the return on investment on your product?
Return on investment for the passive units, it's between 2 to 3 years, and for the active units, about 5 years.
So what does that mean exactly? If I'm a hotel owner, am I installing both passive and active? Is it a package deal?
If you're putting both into place, it would be about 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
And you had the beachhead market of being hotels, all hotels in a specific region. What's your exact beachhead market?
We want to tackle the hotel chains. They have the biggest problem. They have the biggest CO2 reduction targets.
Okay.
As to existing hotels, what do the hotels themselves have to invest to benefit from your heat pumps?
Okay. The hotels have a cycle of refurbishing their rooms anyway. On average, this is 7 years. The major UK company, Premier Inns, refurbish their rooms every 3 years. So this could be included in their normal refurbishment costs anyway.
market share and
It's off. Turn on. Yeah.
in your market share and addressable market,
Yes.
you do it once every 7 years.
Yes, that's counted as once every 7 years.
Thank you.
To reach your revenue target of 17.5 million, how many units will you have to produce and sell?
I think for that year it's about 20 million. I think, let me just check. I've got it on that slide and I haven't got that figure in my head.
Oh, don't go back. Don't go back. Oh.
Sorry, 2.8 million. There you go.
And in terms of the manufacturing and supply of those units, can you share a little bit about those?
Yeah, we're not manufacturers. We're an R&D company. Other people are better placed to do the manufacturing, hence franchising out within the country of sale. It also reduces the carbon footprint of the product because we're not transporting it around the world.
Marcos.
So, since you are not manufacturers, how many European jobs you think you can create if your company succeeds?
That depends on how many European sales we make. So, if, for example...
But you're not manufacturing here, right?
Sorry, say it again?
You're not manufacturing in Europe, I mean.
No, we're not manufacturers,
Yeah.
so we would franchise out the manufacturing to a company that could produce these. We've started to talk to UK manufacturers about producing in the UK. We haven't yet talked to the manufacturers in the different countries.
So how many jobs?
How many jobs?
How many jobs in the UK? Again, it depends on the sales within the UK, but at 2.8 million units, and again, it really depends on the manufacturer concerned and how efficient they are.
Okay, so the answer is I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
I have a question on number consistency of numbers. I heard you saying 664 million liters a day somewhere in
Yes.
your presentation.
That's just for showering.
That's just showering.
Just for
because
showering. The other figure, the yearly figure,
was
is
416 billion.
That's for the overall usage in hotels, hot water in hotels.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That is okay. And that was the last question. Thank you very much, Penny.
Thank you.
Why can't we turn the thousands of climate kick brochures that we are not using this week into clean sheets of paper like this again? Well, we can. My name is H.J. Lemstra. I'm the CEO of Rejuice, and we bring you the Unprinter. Using our technology, we're going to change the way we see office paper. Back in 1975, we heard for the first time about the paperless office, a future in which our data would be on microfiche. We would retrieve it on our black and white television set using a joystick, and we would thus never need paper again. Fast forward to 2014, and we use 10,000 sheets of paper every single year. And I use a lot less, so someone out there, 40% of prints we make, we throw away the same day that we make them. 80% is in the bin within a week. Now, despite email, digitization, Kindle, e-books, you name it, this isn't getting any better. In fact, estimates are that between now and 2050, paper consumption will go up, somewhere between 40 to 200%. We think this is unacceptable, and 10 years from now, you will look back to today and say, why weren't we reusing paper all the time? Because by implementing unprinting, you can reduce your CO2 emissions by 80%, and reduce your cost of simply using paper by at least 40%. We are spinning out from the University of Cambridge, where my co-founder and inventor of this technology wrote a paper about this, and the phone started ringing. Where can we buy this? How much are these Unprinter? Never mind, we need 100. And we were like, well, we're not quite there yet, but why do you care? Well, let me take you through an example. The Royal Bank of Scotland in 2013 used 550 million sheets of paper. If you stack those up, that is almost twice the height of Mount Everest. It cost them a fair bit of money, but what is really important to them and us is that they're looking for ways to reduce this paper consumption. And what do you do if you want to reduce your paper consumption? You implement the best available technology, which today is printing double-sided. That is the best we can do. So, this is where we come in. Big offices, where many employees will share a smaller number of printers. I want to have an Unprinter right next to every one of those printers. And if we do that, the market is enormous. Right next to every printer, there ought to be an unprinter. You feed it the paper you no longer need, your drafts, internal documents, the prints you shouldn't have made in the first place. We wipe off the print and you reuse the paper. It's as simple as that. Our technology uses laser. We shoot the print off the page. Laser printed and photocopied materials of every color from every machine, and we don't damage the paper. You can repeat this process as many times as you like. We've got several patents filed, several more to go, and are currently working on developing a marketable product. Now, I think this is a good idea. Why isn't it already out there? Here is the machine I showed you earlier. It's the only paper reuse device in the world made by Toshiba, and it's a bit of a laugh. Because you need to buy a special printer first. Then it works with ink. Ink has an inferior print quality to toner. This particular ink is 3 times more expensive than toner. But here is the best bit. This can only print in blue. Who wants that? Our technology doesn't care where it comes from. You don't need a special printer. We deal with every color. I guess we win on that one. We focus on big offices, not on your home office, although who knows what the future may bring. We will start with an unprinter next to the printer, but that's not really what I want. I want unprinting to be inside the printer. We've got a fantastic team with a Cambridge PhD, a Harvard MBA. The CTO has got 25 years of experience building products, including printers. I had my first startup age 15, and the chairman and I, between us, have raised nearly 70 million euros. For Rejuice, we're looking for a 1.5 million euro investment. This will go with a significant grant from the UK government. And after about 18 months, we will have our plans, the first products ready, and then we need to raise more money to scale up manufacturing and sales. Now, today, for the second time, I can share in public that we have just signed a 1.5 million term sheet for our business, which we're hoping to close before the end of this year. 10 years from now, you look back at today and say, what was all this recycling about? That's a bit useless. We can reuse. My name is H.J. Lemstra. I've been talking about the unprinter, which, as you can hopefully tell, gets me very excited, and I hope it got you excited too. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thanks.
Marcos, you go first.
My first question is, really?
Yes.
I mean, it works.
It does.
Okay. I would like to know more about the energy consumption of your device. Is it similar to a standard printing? I mean, in terms of kilowatts per hour? Or?
So when we compare energy consumption, we compare it to getting paper. The comparison between printing and unprinting is not as relevant as between unprinting and making or reusing paper. So the 80% figure is based on unprinting versus getting new paper. And recycled paper is worse from a CO2 perspective than new paper is.
In your slide, you had perfecting the laser. So I understand it works, but what does it mean until you actually get there, and how long will it take, and with what type of certainty?
Yeah, no, it works very well, and it works very well with a number of lasers. Perfecting the laser means finding the cheapest laser that can do the job. So we want a laser that we can buy by the hundreds of thousands when we start selling out these machines.
In your patent, what has been patented?
Well, I obviously can't tell you, but the bottom line is we make it impossible for you to make an unprinter.
But you do have patents already awarded, right?
Well, these things take a long time, but they've all gone in, and we're writing
So it's already
more.
Public record?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can talk about public record. So
No,
tell a little about the patents.
I understand they are filed, but not yet awarded.
That's right. Yeah. So in our patents, we do several things, but what we mostly do as a holistic picture is making unprinting impossible to do practically. So things like filtering out the particles, things like using the right kind of laser, making sure that the optics don't get damaged in the process, all of that you need to build a successful unprinter.
How many times can you reuse the piece of paper, and is there any degradation in the paper?
So we've done significant amounts of tests in the lab. We've tested it up to 10 times on a single sheet. We can probably do a lot more than that because we don't damage the paper in the process. However, it is very unlikely you'll ever get one sheet that gets reused 10 times because it has to go through everyday life, right? Where we wrinkle it a bit, or in a fit of anger, we rip it to pieces. So, but technically, there's nothing stopping us from using paper over and over and over again.
And how long does it take for an unprinted to be done, for one page?
To do the job? Well, we've got a prototype currently that takes a minute for a sheet. but we want to go to an average laser printer speed, so something like the 20 pages per minute range. What I always say is people are always in a rush to get their print. That's why printers are made faster and faster. You don't want to stand there and wait for your print. But who would wait for his unprint, right? So it is okay for us to be slower than printers.
Paul?
I believe your product. We have to test it. I believe what you're saying about a term sheet needs to be seen. But what is your business model? Who's your client? What is your gross margin? I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. So what we're currently doing is we're building a business to sell unprinters. We would have a probably 40% gross margin on those things after we've gone through reseller distributor channels. Because for us to do this directly is simply impossible. That's not how companies buy. But what I really want, as I said, is to have unprinting be part of printers. So I could imagine a scenario where we actually develop an engine that is bought by HP, Ricoh, Canon, etc., who then build it into their own equipment. Licensing might be an option, but the hardware is probably more interesting.
Not in that scenario that you described, but in today's scenario in signing a term sheet. The guy who invests in you, what does he see as your client? Who does he see as signing a contract with you? Who is it?
As I said, we build the business on the basis that we make unprinters. So we sell the device. And
who's your client?
And who's buying them?
Everyone who uses a lot of paper.
Who's your client?
Yes, everyone who uses a lot of paper. Law firms, banks, accountancy firms, consultancy firms.
Who do you sign a contract with? Your company signs a contract and then you have revenues.
If I had a ready machine, there would be contracts. There is no ready machine, there are no contracts.
Okay. Final question? No? Then that was it. Thank you very much, HJ.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Fabien Ambo speaking from Evolution Energy. I'm the co-founder of the company. And I'm going to present you what we're doing. And we're doing the energy management software for the industry of the future. So the energy represents 31% of the total world's use used by the industrials, and these guys have major problems. The first one is the cost. It can represent up to 70% of their variable cost, and the second one is the environmental impact. So for that, we've actually built a team. So there's my partner, Erwin Gizwan, who's the CEO of the company and leading the sales team. I'm myself involved into the product innovation, and I'm also assistant professor at the University of La Sorbonne in France. And we've got a team of PhDs doing the research and 2 people doing business development with Erwin. So basically, the idea is that energy becomes rocket science, and we've got the experts to do that. So what do we do? Our job is to take the best decisions for the industry. So we do handle the energy use, so basically it means the consumption and also the influential factors like temperature and many other things. So we do handle sensors data from buildings and also from different machines into the plants. And one other thing we want to deal with is the cost, because it's a major impact for the industry. And so we do handle the maintenance cost, the implementation of new technologies, but also the price of your sourcing. So what we provide is a technology of big data and predictive analytics so that you can take the best decision at any point in time. So the benefits for our customers, it's basically that you can reduce your energy consumption by up to 20% and negotiate your energy contracts with people like E.ON here in a much better way. And these figures have actually been tested on our clients, but also validated by the ISO standard, on which we're a bond member. One important thing also is that when you're a big industry, you can improve also your margin thanks to that, and so you avoid cutting jobs when you're in the European industry. You can decide proactively, and you can comply with new regulations, especially on energy efficiency. So our job is basically to square your energy efficiency, to reduce your cost, and also to reduce your consumptions. So if you look at the market, basically you've got a study by Navigant Research, which has shown that this market is around a bit more 10 billion euros every year, and it's going to double by 2020. And what we want to address in that market is the first 1,000 largest energy consumers in the world, which represent around 3 billion euros in terms of market size. In terms of competition, you see the big players out there. Well, mostly like companies like Schneider or ABB or Siemens or people like that, and people like SAP. But what we do much better is the actual optimization and algorithms that we provide to take the best decision, and so the return on investment is much, much better. So in terms of business model, what we sell today is a software license with recurring revenues, with contracts between 5 to 10 years, and we've got a recurring revenue today of more than 1 million euros. We can generate significant upsells from that initial stage and success fees. We are currently looking for investment of 5 million euros to develop international sales. So our plan for that, the way we're going to use the money is to go global, so expand to Europe, Asia, and the US, with at least 30% of market share, and expand our portfolio with added value services, more fluids, etc.
Evolution Energy tools for many different countries in Europe. This is performing in all the environments that we are facing in those countries. The conclusion for us is it works for us, and they are really supporting our efforts. So for us, it should definitively be a part of your toolbox for better energy consumption in Europe.
So this was Emmanuel Rodriguez talking, number 3 of the group ArcelorMittal. And you've got the list of customers, of the most important customers we've got today. So it represents 6% of the European Union's volumes today in more than 40 countries, 400 plants, and more than 1,000 buildings. So our climate impact to that has been measured as minus 1.2%, and our aim basically is to reach 4% by 2020. And the way we're doing that is by a win-win situation where the most energy efficient companies have better margin, and that's what we do.
Thank you very much. Audience still sharp. Thank you for that. Questions?
Hello. You already have very big clients. So my first question is, what do you need the price for? I mean,
well, what's most important for us is basically that we want to go global. And for that, the way that Europe is seen is very important to us. And we need an institutional way of saying to the rest of the world, especially in Asia and in the US, that the technology works and it's coming from Europe. And so that's a very important thing for us.
What's proprietary about what you have here?
Well, all is proprietary, except from the hardware. The hardware part is basically something we integrate from different partners, and the rest is completely proprietary. We've actually done some patents, some protection from the code. We are also working on the standardization itself, so that the part which cannot be patented and so on can actually be put to the market, but no one can actually take that as a proprietary thing, and speed is key as well.
Patent pending, or is it approved?
It's patent pending so far.
What is unique? What is unique in your product?
What is unique is the fact that we use the cost into our algorithms at the same time as energy reduction. If you look at any other company in the world, what they're doing is energy efficiency, just focusing on reduction of consumption, which is a goal. But the fact is, many people don't do anything because it's just too costly. So you need to optimize taking the cost into account each time.
So is it correct to understand that other parties do volume to volume and you do cost to volume?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned a few larger companies there that are involved in this space, but outside of those companies, who do you see as your main competitors? Because there's quite a lot of people operating in this space.
Yeah, the biggest one is Schneider. A few months ago still, they were called the Energy Management Company. They actually changed it because it was like too much bragging. But they are really very, very widespread everywhere. They're doing important stuff, but we are still able to win against them, and we've beaten them many times.
Have you been in a competitive tender with any of these companies yet?
Yes. We've beaten ABB, Schneider, SAP, and we've even beaten SAP with customer BASF, while SAP is their main customer, and they are just close by because they're in Mannheim, both of them, for the International Center.
The value of a company like yours is typically the amount of lock-in of your customer of future sales?
Yes.
SaaS fee?
Yes.
SaaS model?
yes.
What is the typical length of your customer contract? He signs with you for 1 year, 3 years, 7 years?
It's between 5 to 10 years. And the average contract is 200,000 euros. And so that's why we think we can, by 2020, we can reach at least 100 million euros.
And the 200,000 is for 1 year or for the total period?
No, it's per year for the total duration of the...
And the monetary advantage, the euro advantage that he gets for paying you 200 is how much?
Sorry, I didn't get
How much does your customer gain?
They're still gaining too much for us.
What's the number?
The return on investment is only 4 months for them, and so it's very quick, and we need to share more value between them and us, basically.
In terms of actually the process from winning the customer to actually implementing the solution, what sort of timing and effort is required?
It's around 12 months, and then it depends. For Total, it's taken 2 years, for instance, because it's a very, very large company with many different processes. But in some cases, it's 6 months, so it really depends. But the average is 12 months.
And this is the final question?
How many people do that? How many people are working on that project for 12 months?
On their side? On our side, it's only one side.
Thank you very much, Fabian.
Thank you.
Imagine for a moment that you are a farmer, and you have this stream of water flowing directly next to your field, but you have no way to use that water to irrigate your crops. This is a frustration for many farmers around the world. We've witnessed it throughout Nepal, but also in Ecuador, and also here in Spain, actually. The most common solution to this problem that actually occurs globally is to implement diesel pumps to irrigate fields. Not only is this very polluting, but it also is highly costly to operate and maintain. My name is Fred Henny, I'm from Akista, and 3 years ago we set ourselves the goal to come up with a better solution to this problem. A solution that actually harnesses the kinetic energy of flowing water and uses it to pump up water. We do this using the spiral pump principle, in which a spiraling tube scoops up water and air, accumulates air pressure in this way, and allows it to pump water up to 20 meters high at a maximum output rate of up to half a liter per second. This is sufficient to irrigate up to 2 hectares of land with no emissions and with 0 operating costs. We've built several prototypes over the last year, which we've tested in the TU Delft in lab conditions and also in field trials in the Netherlands, and have also recently implemented our first pilot in Nepal. The innovation behind our technology lies in the way in which we manufacture the spiraling tube itself, not by winding up a tube in a very complex assembly of many parts, but by actually molding it out of a single integrated part, allowing us to scale the technology and also allowing us to optimize the output performance of the pump. Furthermore, it allows us to actually make the product portable. We currently have a patent pending and are going to order the mold for this specific part by the end of this year. That's the technology. Now what's the market for this kind of a product? We estimate it in different ways. First narrowing down from the total amount of agricultural land, first narrowing down from the total amount of small to mid-scale commercial farmers around the world. About 65 million of them can make use of our pump. Looking at the total amount of agricultural land irrigable from surface water, about 250 million hectares are suitable. Looking at the total amount of hydropower available for small to mid-scale hydropower applications, about 70 million pumps could be implemented globally. These 3 numbers individually point to an ultimate market potential of between 30 and 60 billion euros, and the demand for a product like ours will only continue to grow due to population growth, climate change, increasing purchasing power, especially in developing countries, and rising fuel prices. Now, how do we capture a slice of such a huge market? For that, we've devised a 3-stage implementation plan. In the first stage of demonstration, we implement demonstration projects in a country together with our strategic partners. Moving to the second wave of remote supply, we manufacture the product in Europe and sell it to the farmers by making use of our network of strategic partners in those local countries. And in countries in which the momentum picks up quick enough, we move to a third wave of localization where we localize important parts of our value chain and scale our business locally. We have 4 focus countries for the moment: Nepal, Ecuador, Spain, and Indonesia. We've collected over 40 letters of intent in the last year in those countries and are currently in the demonstration phase. In Nepal, we've recently been granted with a fund from Securing Water for Food, where we're going to implement demonstration projects in the next year, or next month actually. And in Indonesia, the Dutch government supports us to also implement demonstration projects. And in Ecuador and Spain, we are in advanced talks with both public and private parties to also do demonstrations in those countries. Already in the first half of 2015, we want to move to the second wave of remote supply, together with the strategic partnerships that we've already formalized right now. And by the second half of 2015, we actually want to start preparing for the localization in Nepal, where we will localize assembly and distribution and sell our product through local authorized distributors. And the beauty of this approach is that we can actually scale it globally by going through these 3 phases, selecting the most interesting countries in those first 2 phases, and then moving to the 3rd phase in the most interesting countries. To reach these ambitious goals, we need an ambitious team. We have Pratap Tapa from Nepal, who is our CFO. He is specialized in economics and finance. We have Leonard Budelman from Germany. He is our COO, and he's specialized in supply chain management and operations. I'm Fred Henny, I'm a CEO, and I'm a product design engineer. We've expanded the team with Professor Uiterwaal, who is a professor of experimental hydraulics. He's a technical advisor to our team. We have Jaime working on calculation and modeling and engineering, and Tim working on product design engineering. We want to reach a cumulative revenue of 25 million euros in 5 years' time, reduce 100,000 tons of CO2 emissions in the same time period, and help to feed over 1 million people. And we need an investment of 800,000 euros.
Okay.
Questions?
I'd like to start with just a bit of clarification of how the technology works. Just to clarify, is there any, the actual water, does it get pumped up with the momentum you get from the river, or is there actual electricity production that powers a pump? Just to clarify that.
To try to explain it simply, we have a water wheel that lies in the river. The river propels the pedals of this water wheel, and the spiraling tube that I showed you scoops up water and air. And inside this tube, for every rotation, there's an accumulation of pressure due to the weight of the water actually presses the next column of water. So
okay, so I get that clarifies it. So then, leading on to that, then when you need to irrigate, how does it work? So, and what happens when you don't need to irrigate with that water?
Actually, yeah, in usual user scenarios, you just have the pump installed in the river. It runs 24/7, and since there's no labor needed to keep it running, you can decide to switch it off. You can decide basically to switch the output off, so it doesn't pump to your fields. But there's no need. There's no need to get it out of the river or to actually stop it.
Yeah. Also on the product, the moving parts. When do they need to be
replaced? Yeah.
Replaced.
Well, there's only one moving part, which is the bearing. That's the most important part of the pump that needs some replacement, but it will take about 5 years before it needs to be replaced, and it can be done using local replacements, actually.
And once every 5 years means how much of your capex, of your capital expenditure? Is it like 10%, 50%, 90%? What is it?
No, it's very low. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, one of these bearings is a couple euros, not more than that.
What does it cost to buy one of these systems?
Our target retail price is 1,000 euros. And in the first phase it will be slightly more, of course, but that's the target price.
Is that when you produce at scale, when you have 25 million revenues, or is that the price today?
No, that's the price when we reach scale. So in the initial 2 phases, we will have to price it slightly higher, but that's only for the next 6 months or so.
And what's the number?
Sorry?
What's the number?
Currently?
Yeah.
If we would sell it currently, we would sell it probably for 1,500 euros. But by halfway next year, we already want to reach the 1,000 euros level and also make a good profit on that.
I have a question. I live near a river. I want to buy this thing. If I order you now, when do I get it?
If you order it now, we will supply you with a pilot version of our pump. As I showed you, that's the version we have currently running in Nepal. That will cost you about 2,000 euros. If you order within 3 months, it will cost you 1,500 euros, because then we've already ordered the tooling.
And when does he get it?
Sorry?
When does he get it delivered to his door?
If you order it, we have a lead time of about 2 months. Yeah.
How many months?
Currently it's 2 months, but if we would have already the tooling...
Would you like one?
Yeah.
We can draw up a contract.
Please?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the return of investment for the farmer? So if you're currently using diesel and I'm going to put this system, what's the payback period?
So to put that in perspective, the return on investment for a farmer is about 7 to 8 months. So for a farmer that uses diesel pumps currently and substitutes it with our product, he would save up to 70% of cost in a 5-year period. So for him, it's a clear business case.
So of that total production cost, what's the most expensive part of that?
The most expensive part will be the spiral itself, actually. But yeah, since we use a molding technique for that, it's quite specialized. It also helps us protect our IP, but that's the most complex part.
So I have no technical knowledge of this, so bear with me if this is a stupid question, but in terms of that material and molding process, is that, can you scale that? Is that something you could put on a large supply chain, manufacturing chain?
No, in that sense, it's relatively simple for us. We basically order a big batch with a manufacturer in Europe, and we can actually ship it by container load. So that's not very complex.
Last question, Thomas.
I just want to know about your distribution channels. How are you going to sell to all these countries? Who's going to sell? Yeah. What does that mean for jobs?
Very good question. Yeah, of course, like I explained, we have the strategic partners that we already work together with, and each country they will be different. But what we strive for is to sell our product through trading companies and to agricultural distributors. So we focus on developing the technology and selling it, but the implementing parties will actually be those trading organizations and people that already sell currently in agricultural markets, also in developing countries.
Thank you very much, Fred.